So did you ever have one of those moments in your life or a situation in your life where you're at a crossroads and you just don't know what to do and where to go with it? Well, today we have expert Sifu Karl Romain, who's a longtime friend of ours. He's an author. He's a martial arts expert. He is now into, well, I guess you've been doing this a long time, life coaching. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about some of that and really how your process works and how you can help people with that.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm
yes.
excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Great space.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you're listening to Balance Your Life podcast, Our Evolving Consciousness. I'm Deb Peterson.
I'm Dee Valente, and I can't wait to catch up and really find out what's happening here with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and share with everybody and talk about my journey, my story.
Yeah, you want to start with that?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure, absolutely. My story goes back to being a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my family, we immigrated here from the island of Haiti.
Okay.
And as a child growing up, there were different experiences that I had. You know, your parents are probably your biggest influence, and sometimes we don't recognize that right away. But my dad loved martial arts. He loved Bruce Lee.
Okay.
And so I think it was like 1973. We went to a drive-in theater, and I saw my first Bruce Lee movie. And I was like, hooked.
That's
it was like, I didn't even know any other way to say it. I was just hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. I must do this, right?
That's great.
So later on, I was about 10 years old, and I saw my friend's brother in his backyard, and he was doing all these weird, funky moves. I said, okay, I know that's martial arts, but what is that? He says, Kung Fu. I said, where'd you learn? He said, oh, down at the Y. I was like, that's it. I went home, and I begged my mom to enroll me, and she did. And I remember thinking in my first class, I'll never quit.
Right? I love it.
I was so enamored with my first teacher. His philosophy at the time I didn't understand. I was too young mentally to really comprehend some of the stuff he was telling me. Yeah. But I was like, this is great stuff. And it was exciting, and it was fun, and it was weapons, and it was fighting. And it was like, I'm going to be Bruce Lee, right? So in my head, I'm like, all boy, right? Yeah, you know. So I get to high school, and my journey through high school, I did other sports. I did wrestling, I boxed, very combat-oriented sports. I did do track for a little bit. But at the end of the day, I had to figure out my life. Now, when you're an immigrant, your parents kind of grill this into you: doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer. None of which I wanted any part of.
Right.
So I was a little different that way.
How did they feel about the Kung Fu and where you were at with it at that point? Just curious.
Well, they thought it was cool, but they didn't think it was
a
career.
Yeah,
it's just a hobby,
right? Side,
And back then, martial arts was not a career.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know, it wasn't something that people went into, right? And even competitively, I mean, I guess by that time you had the kickboxing started to catch on, and it was like somewhat of a career. People were doing it full time, fighting and stuff. But that's not what my parents wanted for me.
Right,
like,
sure.
Who wants their kid to be a fighter, right?
Yeah.
So I was a pretty good artist. I had sold paintings in an art gallery, and my art teacher was like really encouraging. He said, "Oh, you know what? You got the skill. Why don't you okay, you know what? Put together my portfolio, did the whole Pratt, Institute, Pearson's, whatever.
He did.
And I was doing the thing, and I didn't actually go.
Oh, okay.
I was putting my stuff together, and I was at one of those, they had those things where you show up and you kind of draw for them and all this stuff. And I'm looking around at all the students, and suddenly I got this feeling. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. You get that feeling like I don't fit in?
Yeah.
It was just so clear. It was so clear to me that I don't fit in. I don't belong here. And I remember packing my stuff up and going, and the person's looking at me in the front of the room and saying, I gotta go. Yeah. You okay? Yeah. I was like, I just gotta go.
Right.
And I left. And I went home, and I told my parents I'm not going to art school. And then they were really upset.
Okay.
You're not going to go to school. You're not going to do this. What are you going to do? I said, I'm not sure yet. And I remember going back and talking to my instructor, and he's like, hey, you're one of the best. I've trained you for this. I've trained you for that. I took you to see a tournament. You could be a world champion. You could be an instructor. You could be... I was like, oh, you know what? That's it.
That's great that you knew at such a young age.
Well, the thing is, the way that got you old enough to recognize it and said, I don't belong here, when you were 10 and walked into that studio and you said, I'm going to do this forever. This is it.
That's awesome.
That was that gut then.
That was that intuition that we need to trust so often, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And
such
we
a young
learn
age.
to as we go through life, but the change that we're all trying to make is helping people recognize it, and the younger ones.
Yes.
Because
That's
you
right.
knew, and you found your way back.
I was blessed that way.
Yeah.
Kids are tuned in if they
They're very
follow
tuned in if they follow. You know,
and
if they
not
pay
listen to
attention.
their parents sometimes. You know,
and it's really amazing
Yeah.
because I'll tell you something about that with my daughter. Remind me to come back to
okay.
that. But I came home and I said to my parents, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a martial arts world champion. I'm going to do it by age 22. Why 22? I don't know.
Okay.
The words
Master
just came
number.
Out, they just
Master
came out of my
number.
mouth
Yeah.
before I could even catch them. I said, this is it. Yeah. And so then, there was a lot of doubt from other people, not from me. I was certain.
That's right.
I put it
Love
in my high school yearbook, world champion by age 22. I'm going to teach and open a couple of schools. I'll probably do TV and radio, whatever. And so then I graduated and I started my path. I went to California, I trained with a world champion out there, came back home, and I started competing. And then I got ranked in the top 25 regionally, and I was about to go national when I had a car accident. I was driving one morning to work. At that time, I was living in Rockland, working in Westchester County, and another driver cut me off. My car, I lost control of my car, spun across 2 lanes, hit the divider. I hit the divider so hard they thought I was going to go on to the other side. I turned the car around somehow, and I was in the middle of the road watching a truck come at me. Thank God he stopped. But then, I went to the hospital, and that day I received the news that the injuries to my spine would prevent me from ever going back to my sport. And I was devastated.
Oh, yeah.
Because here it was my whole life. I'm doing this thing.
Sure.
I love it with my soul. And then I decide, this is going to be my avocation. I'm going to commit to this. And my parents, you need a plan B. And I'm going,
Right.
What do you know? You're a young kid, right? You're 18 years old. You think, hey, it's going to last forever. So what do? Well, I have a job. I'm going to keep working my job. I'm in a neck brace. And I stay in a neck brace for over a year. And while I'm in the neck brace, I'm going to tournaments. Okay. Which is fueling the fire.
Yes.
Right? It's keeping it stoked. Right? So it's alive. And I'm recognizing, you know what? I want to make a comeback and I can do this.
Awesome.
So I'm in the city one night. I'm with a friend. He'd been an athlete. He knows about sports. He knows about injuries. And he said, man, if you think you can do it, that's the most important part. Just do it.
That was a good friend.
That was
that's awesome.
Let me tell you, that friend was put there too.
That's right.
That's an amazing message to be given.
When I look back, I recognize it's all part of a perfect plan.
Yes, absolutely.
In the moment, we don't recognize that.
No, we don't.
We look at the pitfalls, the obstacles, the hurts, the ups, the downs, and all the ins and outs, and we think, it's not going to work out, or it's too hard, or whatever we're feeling. It feels like crap.
Yes.
But when you look back, you go, it couldn't have happened any other way. I needed this.
Yes.
Right? I needed this to light the fire under me. And I needed this because this is all part of a perfect plan. It's not about what's really happening. It's about the purpose behind it, right?
Right.
So I decided to make a comeback. I'm going to this tournament. I'm watching people. I take the neck brace off. I start training. I re-injure myself. I go back to the chiropractor. I re-injure myself. And he's talking to me about, listen, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to maintain this schedule. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because I'm working full time. I'm competing, trying to get myself back on track. And as I start to win, I start to gain some notoriety. I'm getting sponsors. So things are moving in the right direction where I can pull away from work and start to really do this thing. I make it on the U.S. team. And I go to the World Championships. I represent the U.S. in international competition and made my dream come true by age 22.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
It is.
Wow,
it is,
talk about...
there's so many things. I have an athlete. My child is an athlete, and she shares a lot of the same stories and hurdles. So I recognize this, but she hasn't come out the other side yet. But there were so many things that you can take forward and bring to people just from that experience in life, and I know that's what allows you to be such an amazing coach, because you can be empathetic and you can, but there's so many lessons about cutting every other option. There is no plan B. And I'm going for it.
Burn the boats.
And declaring
that determination and faith, right?
Yeah, to the universe and setting that energy out into the universe, right? And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in writing, and now I have no choice.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to declare it.
Yeah.
When you declare it, you say to the world, you speak to the universe, you speak to God. And you say, okay, I'm having faith. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. And faith is what? The evidence of things unseen.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you get a vision for something that nobody else gets a vision for. Right? And you got to trust that vision when you get it, that this is where you got to go. and it's not going to be easy. I mean,
Right.
you know, I read the Bible, and, you know, when we read the story of Joseph, it was a 10-year period.
Yeah.
Think about that. He was thrown in prison, betrayed by his brothers. He could have died. Anything could have happened. But throughout that time, he just kept going. Right? And sometimes we got to do the same.
Yeah.
And life comes back and tests us. It's not just one time that happens, right?
Girl, all the time. All the time.
Right, right.
It's constant, you know. And
Just when you think you got it.
Just when you think you got it. And that's what I was saying before about being aligned with your purpose, trusting, and knowing that each part of it is part of a perfect plan, right? I believe that God has a plan for our lives, right? But it's up to us to trust and to have faith and to know that he's going to carry us through. If he gives you that vision, he's going to give you provision, right? He's going to help you understand how to get there and how to accomplish it.
Right, it's true.
So, yeah.
Do you still do Kung Fu daily?
I do. I have a martial arts school called RKF Martial Arts. I practice as a Sifu in my academy, teaching Kung Fu, Tai Chi, kickboxing.
That's great.
We work with kids as young as 4 and adults as old as 80.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful art form. It really
Yeah.
is. So I knew it was part of your life, and I assumed you kept doing it every day, but I didn't know. Yeah.
After
Keeps
winning
you
the
young.
World Championships, I started speaking. And I started doing more television and radio and different things like that. I did 5 seasons, as you know, in the Dr. Oz show as a Tai Chi Qigong instructor.
That's right, yes.
I authored part of a book with Dr. Oz called You Staying Young, where I did the Qigong in it, and we did a DVD to go along with it. I worked with the New York Football Giants during the 99-2000 season. Michael Strahan, Monty Toomer, Howard Cross, Tiki Barber, Sam Garner. I mean, the list goes on and on. And then, you know, they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I was going to
it's
say, it was
amazing.
the season.
That was
right.
the great,
Yeah.
So it was awesome to work with those guys.
And you didn't just co-author that book with Dr. Oz. You actually authored a number of other books.
I've authored a number of other books, one of which is called Unbreakable. And Unbreakable,
Awesome.
It's a little bit of everything,
Amazon
right? It tells
bestseller.
my story. It also talks about my story from the perspective of a child growing up.
Oh, I love it.
Right? So you can kind of get an idea of my mindset, what I was feeling, what I was experiencing. I have a deep connection to music. It talks about that. I have a deep connection to spirituality. I put it all out there, actually, in the book.
Right, yeah, like what under the heading is the secret of developing an indelible spirit.
And I talk about the process, right?
Right.
I talk about getting honest with yourself.
Yeah,
Sometimes
talk
we're
about
just-
that a little, yeah.
Sometimes we're just not honest with ourselves. We lie to ourselves all the time.
Well,
You know?
yeah, and I was saying off before, I was talking to somebody that does a lot of trauma healing. And trauma isn't just like, when we think of trauma, we think devastating, you know, things like that.
moment, yeah.
Right, but it's not even that. It's just little things that happen as you're growing up, as you're interacting, whatever. And it was so wild because he was talking about it, telling me something I really never heard before. Like, everybody has it, right?
Right.
And on some level, like,
Right.
you know, but it's not like necessarily, ooh, big trauma. I mean, yes, some people
Right.
have that. But we just keep, as you're even going through healing and doing things, it's just the brain just going back to that comfort
That's right.
place. That
It does. And
and
it
you have to
needs
fight yourself,
You
is
have
like
to fight
you were
yourself.
saying earlier.
Well, think about it. There's 3 ways we communicate with ourselves internally, right? The first way that we communicate with ourselves internally is we joke. We think it's funny. You'll never do that.
Right.
Okay. Then the second way that we communicate with ourselves is we lie. We go, oh yeah, whatever, that won't happen, right? And then the third way that we communicate with ourselves is sincerely. The challenge is sometimes when we're sincere, we say things like, "You're not good enough. You'll never accomplish it."
Right, those kind of
And
things.
those
That's what we were
things
talking-
go deep.
Right.
Those things are the things that block the blessings that prevent us from getting to where we're going.
Well, I
Right?
think
And
it's-
those are the things that we
Those
need
are the
to-
patterns and the
patterns
things
and
that keep
clean up,
on
that's
coming.
right.
Yes.
tying that in with the trauma is the reason that the trauma, we can't just let it go, is because we don't. We
Right.
recognize the feeling of that, and we always go back and
Right,
say,
it's the
well,
comfort.
I'm not good enough, or I can't, or this is how it happened last time, and so we don't escape that.
Yeah,
And
that's
part
what we
of
were
that,
talking
making
about.
that choice of letting that go is dispersing the trauma, is trusting in God and
That's
allowing
right.
it to
allowing God.
Right,
to
but
work
it's
with
not
us.
usually the comfortable thing.
well,
No.
it's time
That's
that we do
it.
that.
Well, right,
You know?
absolutely.
One of the things we need to do is switch our perception of
Yeah,
things.
that's
Yes.
good.
Right? What if we looked at different aspects of our lives is events that occur.
Mm-hmm.
They're just events.
Yeah.
This thing happened, right? And I have a perception of that. And I have to be careful that my perception doesn't create a story that my mind locks into. Mm-hmm. Because whatever I tell my mind, it takes as truth, especially if my behavior supports it,
mm-hmm.
right? Which is manifestation in reverse.
Right.
Right?
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
We start to produce something we don't want.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
in order to produce something we do want, we start with a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So remember I said truth. That's where I started. Yep. Get honest with yourself. The next step is truth. Mm-hmm. Right? Not truth, excuse me, your thoughts. Like, look around the room. Name one thing that wasn't a thought before it was here.
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
Even
a thought.
us.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything's a thought.
Like our parents were like, "Oh, I want to have a child." Right?
Right.
We were a thought before we ever became the physical manifestation.
So therefore, thoughts never die.
Yes.
Thoughts exist. Once you
Super
speak
powerful.
them into creation, a thought lives on.
Yeah, watch your thoughts to become your words.
Right,
Watch
right.
your words to become your actions. Watch your actions to become your destiny.
Yeah.
Right? So these things are critical. And when you see them at work, you really start to understand some of the spiritual laws at work, right?
Yeah.
So first we have this idea. I have an idea. I want to create something, right? And think about it. We're always in the process of becoming something,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of asking people, who are you being?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you
Love
being
it.
right now, right?
Ah.
So I start with this idea of thought. And then I talk about the feeling. Because people say to me, well, I'm just not confident. I say, that's interesting. Tell me more about that, right? Well, what is confidence? Really?
Right.
Confidence is how I use my physiology. Confidence comes from experience, right? So maybe I'm doing something new. Of course I'm not going to have the confidence, right? But when you were a child, how'd you learn to walk? You fell all the time.
Yeah,
and everybody did what? Keep going.
Right.
High
Right,
five.
right.
He's walking. They're all excited. They're breaking out.
That's so
We don't-
simple and true.
It's
Yeah.
simple and true, but we
Ah.
don't even do that for people. We need to encourage the people around us, right? We need to empathize with what they're going through and say, hey, you can do it. And
Right.
imagine how many more people would accomplish their goal. So the feeling that we have is one that I can do it. Because congruency is everything. From your thought to your emotions, you must be congruent, right? What do we know? In the Word it says, a house divided upon itself cannot stand. If you are the house and you got thought over here and feeling over here, well, we got a problem,
Yeah.
right? A double-minded man is never stable in his ways. So we must come back to a place where we're united, where we're aligned. And that alignment then helps us to produce or manifest the things that we're going for. And trust me, it's not an easy process, and it doesn't always look the way we think it's going to look. Right? It's not always going to feel the way you want it to feel at first, but eventually you will get there.
Yeah. No, it's true. And you have a whole process for
I have
this,
a whole
right?
process
that you
for
teach
it. Yeah.
people.
We just did it last weekend. We were teaching a goal setting seminar workshop, and I actually took people through the process, and it was really, it's amazing because every time I do it, I get something out of it too.
Terrific.
Right?
Do you want to give us a little taste of what that is?
A little
Or
taste.
Is that, I mean...
Yeah, well, we could start with a thought.
Okay.
Okay, so I want you to think about...
Well, we're going to do it, actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's,
Okay.
okay.
That's how we work.
All right. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually
So
we
I
get
want
readings.
you.
Today
I want
we
you to think about where you're at right now,
Okay.
and I want you to think about where you want to go. What do you want to create in your life? Right now, of course, there's a chasm that we have to cross. But before we even do that, I want you to think in your mind that you're already in ownership of this. Right? So you got to come from that place. So when you speak about it as if it's already happened.
Yes.
So there's an exercise I do called the Life Destination Blueprint, and we kind of go through this process. So shut your eyes, take a deep breath, and I want you to imagine it's sometime in the future, and you're already in possession of that which you desire. Got it? And I want you to feel those feelings in your body as if you're already in possession of it. Notice how it feels. How do you breathe? How do you move? How do you stand? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? So you engage all the senses in this process as well. And notice what's happening as you do that. How do you feel?
Oh yeah. Lighter, you feel
Lighter.
happy, satisfied.
Yeah, we're supposed to be answering? Okay.
Confident
Right, yeah.
in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
start to see it in
Free.
your mind. So what people need to understand about this process as well, visualization is very important, right? Where there's no vision, the people perish. But where there's vision, people prosper. So let's talk about the vision part. If I said to you, describe what it's like to eat an apple, what just happened for you?
On my mind,
thinking
an
about it.
apple.
You think about it, but you also saw an image.
Yes.
Right? And the mind can't tell the difference between something imagined and something real.
Right.
The challenge is most of the time when we imagine something, it's not the positive. It's not actually what we want, which disrupts the result.
Yes.
Right? There's a movie which I absolutely love. It's called The Sphere.
Okay.
Sharon Stone, Dustin Hoffman, and Samuel Jackson. And
I
they're on a
think I-
submarine.
Yeah.
And they're in this submarine, and this sphere, this ball of energy comes out of the sky and goes into the water.
Okay.
And when it goes into the water, it gives them this unusual power that whatever they dream about, whatever they imagine, becomes real.
Oh, I'll have to
And
watch that.
they're at the end of the movie, they're holding hands, they're having this very deep conversation, and Dustin Hoffman goes, "We have to send this back. We're not ready for this. We're given the greatest gift in the world, the gift of imagination, and what do we do with it? We imagine the worst instead of the best."
Right.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
oh my God, that's so true to life.
Yeah.
Right? So they
pretty
send the sphere back up into space, but I just think about that all the time, right?
cool.
Are we imagining the best or the worst?
Hi, Deb and I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for joining us. We hope that you're appreciating all of the guests that we're bringing you, and we wanted to ask you to please remember to subscribe below and like us so we can continue to bring more guests and take a deeper dive.
And send us comments if you have any feedback. We would love to hear from you. And that is the whole thing about, right? Law of attraction, creation.
So yeah, just in our world and what we talk about, raising our consciousness, we look at getting centered and getting grounded, and so you just gave a very, very practical approach for anyone trying to change their life and move forward.
That's right.
Love it.
And we feel there is a big energy shift happening.
Yeah.
And the shift is
Things are
allowing
changing.
for manifestation more easily because it's a shift into compassion. So I think
compassion
those things
is such
combined
an
in this
important
world.
part, right?
Yeah.
Compassion and empathy, and especially for self.
Right.
In the
People
book-
forget about themselves.
Yeah, in the book, I do a whole section on compassion.
Oh, good.
Right? And sometimes people say, well, I'm not ready to forgive somebody, or not ready to have compassion for that person. I understand.
Right.
But have compassion for yourself. And remember that forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. You're
That's
the
right.
person that you're setting free. You're not holding on to that stuff. The forgiveness exercise is in there as well. And a lot of times when I take somebody through the forgiveness exercise, they immediately feel a sense of relief.
Sure.
They didn't realize they were holding on to so much. They'll even tell me, I feel lighter.
Yep. That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And the people, we feel that as the consciousness is rising, or the vibrations going up, that people are looking for these things more now. I mean, we see it in our work, for just the last couple, we say this all the time, but the last couple of years, it's just like,
And I love that word, vibration.
yeah. And
In the Chinese martial arts, we talk about the connection between the heart and the mind. Very similar to what I was just talking about, right? The heart and mind must be connected in order to manifest, right? So we do this exercise called the 6 healing sounds. And one of the exercises that we do connected to the heart, because in the heart we hold impatience. Well, the sound is ha.
Oh yeah.
Right? So let's do it together.
Yeah.
Ready? Ha. And of course we can incorporate movement with it. Ha. Right? Just try it. Bring your arms
release.
out.
It's a total
Gather
release.
in and ha. Right? Notice how that feels, right? And I hope
feels good. Yeah.
you guys at home are trying it as well. with
Yeah,
us,
right.
So vibration, right? Sound is vibration.
Yes.
It's energy that we're sending out, right? Another very powerful. I love exercise.
Yeah, no, we love
I
it.
have
If I
to say
share,
that
if
this-
I'm
and what's-
sharing
and
too
what's-
many, let me
No,
know.
No, this is, and I wanted to say this is great because you have, and just from knowing you and working with you over the years, but even now, so many techniques that wherever someone is at on their journey,
That's right.
you can help them.
Yes.
And just these techniques are for everyone. So
Yeah.
share away.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
them. And the books, by the way, are loaded with them.
Yeah.
They're loaded.
Yeah.
The book is loaded from cover to cover with exercises, practical tools, tips, things that you can use.
That's great. We love that. People need
Yeah,
that. So.
On the show Ascend, I do a lot of these techniques as well. But also in my podcast, Overcoming Obstacles, I do a lot of this stuff too. And so I encourage you to listen to all of it. Find all the information
radio
online.
show,
But,
Ascend, Overcoming Obstacles.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you had
I just
the
give
podcast.
stuff away because I think as we give, so that we receive.
Of course.
But I also think people need even more today, these practical tools. They don't just need motivation or inspiration, but they need to know, how do I get there?
Right.
What's the path? Give me something I can work with. And so one of the exercises that we talk about is the expansion exercise.
Okay.
Because it's about energy and vibration. And it's recognizing that, well, let me just take you through it.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Because
great.
then you can tell me what you recognize.
Okay.
So usually we do it standing up, but for now we'll do it sitting down.
Okay.
And I want you to open your hands. And I want you to sit up straight, powerfully. Right? And I want you to really get a sense of the space that you occupy. Like, shut your eyes and really feel yourself present to the space. Right? And again, those of you at home, do this with us. And just really
Unless you're driving.
Well, that might not be good. Right. Unless you're driving.
Driving.
Don't do it while you're driving. But if you're at home, shut your eyes and just open your hands and just really get a full sense of the space that you occupy. And now that you have that sense, I want you to use your imagination to expand that space beyond whatever room you're in and keep going outward. Keep going out so that you're beyond the town that you're in. Keep expanding your energy out so you're beyond the state that you're in. Now keep going out beyond this country, beyond this continent, beyond this globe, and send it all the way out into the universe. All the way out. Notice what you see, what you feel, what you hear, and get a sense of where you come from. Where do you come from?
Source, God.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Limitless.
Right? It's
Yeah.
limitless.
Yeah.
And
some people will tell me, I saw white. I felt this in my body. For the first time I realized I'm this big.
Yeah.
Because when I compare myself to the universe, but I realize how powerful my vibration can be.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's true. Think about it. Like, you put a pebble into the water, and what does it do? It ripples out. Right? The butterfly effect, right? A butterfly flaps its wings in one place, and there's a tsunami somewhere else, right? Like, and that's us.
Yeah.
As human beings, as we raise the consciousness, as you say, like, we have that power within us, and it's tapping into that all the time that helps you to move forward and overcome obstacles.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
It's great news that there are people on the planet now who are teaching this and sharing this, and coming at it from different angles, and you're much needed. So the work that you're doing is fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
keep doing it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your radio show or your podcast?
Earlier this year, I joined the SOS team, SOSradio.live, and myself and my co-host Marlene Cruz, we created a show called Ascend, and Ascend is exactly that. It's helping people
ascend. Yeah, it's kind of like what we're trying to do. Yeah,
right? And really giving them some practical tips and tools that they can use. And it's about sharing people's stories as well. So we have a lot of guests that come on. It's great. That come on and they share their stories, what they went through, how they got over it, how they got to the other side, how they grew up, the messages they received growing up. Because this is all part of it, right?
Yeah.
I was talking about before my daughter, right?
Yeah.
So I was really blessed and really lucky that at a young age I kind of figured things out and what I wanted to do. So my daughter, when she was like 3 or 4, she's like, I want to be an archaeologist. Right? So she goes to college, and she goes in doing one thing, and lo and behold, when she needs to declare, what does she declare?
Archaeology.
Oh,
and now she's at Yale doing archaeology.
Love it.
That's so cool.
That.
Yeah.
She's been on digs and everything else, and I'm like, wow.
So cool.
It's amazing to see her so in touch with herself and what she loves and what she enjoys.
That's great.
You know, so I think it's important for us as parents to really listen to our children and to allow them to be who they're meant to be. Because again, that's part of their path and part of their purpose.
Right.
And I talk about purpose a lot because I do believe we're all created for something, a reason. There's something that we're all meant to do, and when we do it well, we impact the world, the people around us, one person at a time.
Right. Beautiful.
That's very true. Yeah. So, you want to talk a little bit about your time away, if you will, or how you dealt? Yeah. Maybe give.
So I was really out there. I was on TV all the time, doing different TV shows, radio shows, and just very, very active. And I went through. I was out there, spotlight, public speaking on different stages, traveling, and life was amazing. But then I went through some personal things, the loss of my really close friend. That's where it started to change, right? We had been best friends for over 25 years, and so it really shook my foundation, right? She helped me run my business and everything, and at that time I realized I needed to get it together. So I went to a coach, and the coach said to me that I needed to find purpose in all of this because it was actually shaking up everything. My foundation is faith. But what happens when you lose that? Or what happens when you start to doubt? When you start to question stuff, right? And that's where Unbreakable was born. A book that was in 10 years in the writing process, suddenly within weeks was done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Because once you get it, you get it.
Once you get it, you get it, right?
Yeah.
But then other things started happening, other things, and it changed my life. And suddenly I found myself in a place where I had responsibilities that I didn't think I would have. And there was, when you're on TV or when TV wants you, it's drop everything and go. Yeah. And suddenly I couldn't drop everything and go. My priorities had shifted, and people needed me to be present. Right. And so I realized, I need to step back. And then COVID hit. Yeah. Right, so now we're all inside. Right. I'm already inside, and I'm going through stuff, and I recognize the need for this time. And during this time, it helped me to really get back in touch with the spiritual side of things, my foundation. I ended up going to school. I went to Liberty University, and I got a degree in psychology and Christian counseling. Yeah, I love my theology. That's cool. But it took me deeper inside my faith. And then after that, I continued to go through stuff. I lost both parents within 1 year. Yeah, and so I had to give myself time to heal. And in that process of healing, I then recognized, okay, now is the time for me to move forward. Right? And once I said, okay, it's time to move forward, I slowly started. I started with little things. Yeah. It's not a big step forward. Well, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Right. Right. And just recognizing, I think sometimes people, when they decide to come out, right, to move forward, they feel like, well, I need to get back to where I was. And, it took you years to get to where you were. Right. Be patient. True. It's going to happen. That's true. It might not look the same. It might not be the same. It's going to happen. It just takes time. And so one thing led to another, and as one thing led to another, I started doing more and more and more, which led to the radio show, which led to me being here and doing other things, public speaking, being out there again, doing workshops and seminars, and there's some other thing that I'm working on that I can't talk about right now, but I'm very excited about where things are going. Right. And just being on this journey. You feel, and it's clear that you are where you're supposed to be. Absolutely, 100%. That's great. And I will say this. In the past, you were where you were supposed to be. That's right. Right. And that's what I meant by it's part of a perfect plan. It's all unfolding for us, right? And it's trusting. I think trust is probably the hardest part.
We talk about that all the time.
When adversity hits and you get knocked down and then you get back up and you're like, okay, I was able to trust and manifest and move through that, and then it hits again. And you have to do that again and again and again and again. It's you're pushed, to that place where you want to give up. You almost want to give up. Sometimes it feels like you're going to break, right? And that time of healing and that time of recognizing the importance of taking care of yourself and allowing when we get past it, we look back and we say, well, that was all perfect. But being in it is
It's hard.
really difficult.
It's super hard being in the valley. It's dark.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's lonely.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of
It's
stuff.
scary.
And
It makes
you know,
you doubt everything about
everything, right? Makes you doubt everything,
Yeah.
right? And even your belief sometimes in humanity, because you
Yes.
feel like, well, I was there for people. Were they for me? You know, like we get into this, woe is me. Woe is,
Right.
We all
you can really
we
go.
all have different ideas or thoughts when we're in the valley, but it's in the valley that we need to look up, and it's at the mountaintop that we need to look up, you know, and give gratitude.
Yeah.
That we're still here. And as long as
yeah.
we're still here, there's something to do.
That's true.
There's something to do.
This human experience that we have, and I know we share a lot of these same faith beliefs, but this human experience that we are here to have, every moment of it, the good, the bad, the challenges, are all to be appreciated.
Right.
You know, and that's hard, because when you get to that place where now you have these responsibilities and you're taken out of life and you had to give up what was so easy and you worked for, it's hard to appreciate those difficulties when you just want to say, F you, world.
Right. Oh,
You know?
it's always
But
hindsight's 20/20.
That's right.
Right.
But, you know, it's just, if you know it, and okay, I'm going to lick my wounds today, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to appreciate this challenge. You know,
and there's a place for that, right? There is a place to lick your wounds. There is a place to go, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know what?
Right.
And today's the day I'm going to bed and I'm just going to be in bed and I'm going to cry this out.
That's
right? And in the morning, you know, weeping will endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So hopefully in the morning I can find some joy in this.
Yeah,
but right now I'm going to be in my bed. I'm going to cry it out. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone, people.
So
you know,
true.
and then when you come out of it, hopefully you find the bright spot and you can say, okay, it still don't look good, but I gotta do something here, right? Like, I'm still here. God's still have me here. What am I gonna do
gained
next?
Energy.
You know, it's not easy, and I don't want anybody to listen to anything I've said today and think it is easy. I don't want you to think that I'm minimizing or diminishing your hurt, because I understand your hurt. Right? If you get a chance to interact with me or work with me, you'll recognize that I'm empathetic, and I believe that all the things I've been through serve me so I can serve you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Right? The heartache, the pain, the suffering, all of it had a purpose for me. Right? My life purpose is about inspiring people, right? To live a life of their dreams, whatever that means to them. Right? And I recognize then that every piece of my life, not just my knowledge, not just my schooling, but all of my life, when I show up to work with you as a coach, will serve you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? And that's what we're here for, is to be of service to others at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, and trying to keep your eyes on that. Just remembering that, even in the dark moments, right?
Right.
You know, it's interesting working as a mental health coach, because most people, when they come to me, they're coming to me in a dark place.
Yeah.
You know, they're suffering, they're hurting. And I can tell you there's been moments when I've had a person show up to session, they're crying, I'm crying with them. I feel
beautiful.
it.
Yeah. Well, you're
empath. I was going to say that. Right.
So
yes.
I meet them where their pain is, right? And then, you know, the other part of that is watching them come out of it, right? And being there for them on the other side, you know, and seeing how they smile, like, oh my God, I'm in such a better place. Thank you so much. And, you know, and it just lets me know that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That I'm on the right path, you know. And as long as I keep getting those messages, I'm going to keep doing it.
That's great.
Yeah. Awesome.
You're really on an awesome journey.
And you're you're working with people not only one-on-one, you're working with groups, right? So
I work with one-on-one, I work with groups. I have a new coaching program that I'm developing right now.
Beautiful.
So yeah, you can attend workshops. You can
love it.
Work with me one-on-one. There's lots of different ways to interact with me. You can come to the martial arts school. We have people that attend our martial arts school, and one of the things about our martial arts school is we're a little different because we weave in personal development.
That's great.
Right? Which is really important to me. We do a lot of life skills and leadership. Like even tonight, we have a leadership workship.
Oh, okay.
And in the workshop, we're going to be talking about overcoming the storms of life, right? Nice. Very similar to what we're talking about right now, right? But these things are tools that people really need. So whether you're a parent, whether you're a child, you can come to the academy and really feel like you're working on your whole person, right? Holistic.
Yeah, holistic
right?
approach,
You're
right?
not just learning self-defense, but it's your mind, your body, and your spirit that's being fed.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I really believe today people are hungry.
People are
Well,
hungry.
that's what we were
Yes.
saying,
Yes.
and more. Yeah.
And the interesting thing now, because listen, when you hit rock bottom, then you're open to, right? I mean, you're open to
possibilities.
healing, and
That's
sometimes you don't get it until you completely get knocked out. But I think the interesting change that we're seeing, and you're tapping on, you're recognizing, is that people are looking for a better way when it's not terrible. We can always
good.
we can always
Yeah.
so it's you know, people it's beautiful awareness and awakening, and people are looking for ways of developing.
Because there's a shift happening.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
There's
Like
a
that,
huge-
all the
Yeah.
holistic things used to be when we're desperate,
Right.
and now you don't have to be desperate anymore.
Right.
Or we see that shift that
That's
people
right.
aren't. They just want to
see
know
it,
now,
we feel
right?
It, you can see it. You can
So.
see that, you know, times are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Are we embracing that or resisting it?
Right.
Where are you with it?
That's all individual.
Right? And so understanding that there are other ways of doing this. There
Absolutely.
are. You know, and looking for those opportunities, those alternative routes.
Yeah. They're out
Sometimes is
there.
our best way.
Yeah.
Right? The old way sometimes.
Well, that's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation we can have about
Yeah.
my feelings about the old way and the new way.
Yeah,
but, you know,
exactly.
next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look
But
forward
this
to
has
it.
been great.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
great.
thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on and
Thank you.
giving us all these tips.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell anybody? Or you're
Yeah,
just,
I hope you'll watch us on SOSRadio.live every Sunday at noon.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're
that's
on
great.
live. Me,
Yeah.
myself and Marlene Cruz doing the Ascend Show, and that's one of the best ways to find
That's
me.
awesome.
You can
Love
join the SOS community page, and we have different things going on there. There's opportunities that you can get coaching from me right there on the
Terrific.
in the
Yeah.
community. So please join that
And
SOSRadio.live.
Thank
also
you.
one more time, I'm going to show the book because I think
Yeah, that's
everybody
great.
should read it. Great tips. It's really down to earth and
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book was an Amazon bestseller, and just recently, so you know, I wrote it, I launched it, and then COVID hit, and we kind of
Oh, okay.
went through all that stuff and stopped. And then recently, the book just won an award. It's called
That's
the
great.
Impact Award for Personal
Congratulations.
Development.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Global Impact
You-
Award.
That's
Yeah.
Wow.
awesome.
How awesome is that?
For you.
Big
I
little deal
expect-
you leave out there.
Yeah, right. Right.
Awesome.
Par for the course.
Par-
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Sifu Karl Romain.
It's a pleasure.
All right.
I look forward to coming back.
And we'll see you next time.